Hi, this is Denise Sanyurt. I work as a commercial real estate investment advisor. Welcome to my Location Advisor Facebook page live event. Before we start, let's first discuss house rules. We are going to live post this event at my Location Advisor Facebook page and Zoom platform. Event will take around 30 minutes. Feel free to post your questions at the comment section under this post or share them through the chat option at Zoom. At the end of the presentation, we will do our best to respond all of your questions. If we cannot, please leave your contact details. We will respond them after the event. The event also will be recorded and will be available to watch later at my Location Advisor YouTube channel. Let's start. Today, we are going to talk about home and commercial inspections during COVID-19 pandemic and HVAC maintenance during seasons changes. Ed Donofrio, founder of Donofrio and Associates LLC, has kindly agreed to join us today. Ed founded Donofrio and Associates LLC in 2002. He is a graduate of U.S. Naval Academy with a degree in naval engineering. Ed is a Vietnam veteran. He was also a member of 1976 Olympic team. Ed has more than 35 years of experience in building, structural, mechanical, and electrical systems. For those of us in real estate business, we know how working with a reliable property inspector is critical for a successful closing of a deal. Property inspections is taking a snapshot of a property before buyer and seller makes a decision to proceed with closing. It basically tells you what's working and what's not working or what needs to be fixed. I have worked with Donofrio team on many deals, both residential and commercial, and I am very happy with my experience with them. Having a military background, Ed runs a tight ship. All inspections are standardized, his staff is very professional, and you can expect the same quality of service at every inspection. That said, I wanted to share this valuable resource with my network. Ed, welcome to our My Location Advisor Facebook Live meeting.
Denise, thank you very much for having me today. I'm thrilled to be here, and I hope the information I'm able to impart on everybody is helpful in every way. I really enjoyed the business. I've been doing this, as you said, almost 19 years, and people always look at me and say, "When are you going to retire, you old guy?" And I said, "I'm never going to retire. I love what I do. I love Denise and I are associates and friends, and I love working with all the people I've worked with. I see interesting properties, so I'm very blessed to be involved in a business that I love doing."
Thank you so much. Ed, I have a couple of questions for you. And as you know, we are going through very tough, unprecedented times. The world we know has changed completely since this pandemic started. Have you ever experienced anything like this? I know you are a very positive and structured person. How do you deal with this chaos?
Well, it really hit us by surprise. Nobody knew what to do, but I will say this: that actually at this point, I'm the founder of the business. We have 26 people. My son Joey is the managing partner, and he was remarkable in the changes he made, because when this first hit, business dropped quickly. It fell off a cliff for us. And we have 26 people. That's 26 families that we have to feed. And you take that responsibility very seriously. So we reacted very quickly. Joey reacted tremendously fast, and we had to change the way we marketed. We have 3 full-time ladies marketing for us: PJ, Donna, and Ruth Ann. They're phenomenal. They're going to offices. They're doing all these active things, and now that had to change. They've been very active on webinars, online seminars, direct contact with people. It changed the entire way we marketed, and we did it overnight. And although our numbers are still down, We're doing pretty well. We've climbed back up.
Mhm.
But through I'm going to brag a minute, through the incredible efforts of PJ, Donna, and Ruth Ann,
Mhm.
although our numbers are down, we have more than doubled market share in the DMV area.
Awesome.
Isn't that
Awesome.
amazing?
Well, I'm not surprised. They're really nice and really active. I know that.
It's amazing. I tell people that we, and so that's the biggest change in just adjusting, and we were able to keep. We did lay off a couple of people, but we kept the vast majority of our people. We kept all the people's benefits. One of the things that we did is that my son Joey, the company is owned by 4 people: myself, my wife, Joey, and Jason Donofrio, and all of us for a period of 2 months did not take paychecks. So we made sure our employees did. And
so how does my next question? How does COVID-19 change your business model? Like maybe my other question also complements this. What are the measures you take to make sure the safety of inspectors and property owners? Because I know, especially in the residential side, those occupied properties, people were hesitant to accept inspectors in their houses. So how did you handle that problem?
Well, we recognized it right away, but we're a member of what's called the International Association of Inspectors, Internaci, and they immediately came out with a course that they mandated, because we're all members. For all Internaci members, all our inspectors had to take a course on what to do when you go on an inspection. So from that standpoint, wearing the mask, distancing yourselves, wearing gloves, all those procedures, but also our marketing staff came up with, we do actual virtual inspections also for people that are not, some people said, gee, I don't want to be there. So we do the inspection, and we have to be there, but the client does not, and they can follow it on their phone, live, like FaceTime or some kind of media, Zoom or something. They follow it with us, and our reports are very detailed with tons of photos. So even if they're not there, they're going to get a report that shows them everything good and bad about the property. So I think very actively that Joey made everybody take the course and pass it immediately. So we're on top of how to act when we're on an inspection, how to take care of things, wearing the mask. It's all social distancing, but to the nth degree.
Yeah, that's very important. How to react, and we have to adjust ourselves like we do now. Normally we meet face to face. I love meeting with you. You're always fun to talk. Have an actual meeting. But now we have to be very creative with our solutions we create for our clients. So that brings me to another question. What are your suggestions for property owners in preparing their properties for inspection? Let's say I'm a seller or I'm a buyer. What should I expect from this inspection? How can I prepare my property for you to inspect?
Denise, you're very astute, and that's very important to us. And we actually hold seminars in offices just talking about that, because it's the seller of a house. They want to sell the house, so you want to put the house in the best posture for an inspection. And a lot of it's common sense, but you have to talk about it. Unclutter your own house. Get rid of stuff. Unclutter. A cluttered house looks terrible, and it's hard for the inspector to get around. Remove all personal belongings and things from mechanical systems, HVAC systems, water heaters, crawl spaces, attic access areas. Clear everything out. Nobody loves dogs and pets more than I do. Get the dog out of the house. Also, as a listing agent, you should tell your sellers not to be there. The listing agent should not be there. These people with their agent should be able to come into the house and look at it freely and openly, so they can see, and talk about it freely. Those are the key things: uncluttering, making sure there's access to everything. And an uncluttered house looks bigger, looks cleaner. It's advantageous all around the board.
So I actually have one of your inspection reports here with me. If you don't mind, I'm gonna share this with the audience. Um, Here, this was like done almost 2 years ago for one of our client. He was buying this property, and it was a single family home. It wasn't a big one. And you guys did 74 pages of report on this house. And I see that like you examined everything. Look at this, all those pictures, all the details. You go to heating system, you have the pictures of each unit. There are comments of each space, like kitchen, laundry, everything was covered. But sometimes, as a real estate agent, I see buyers get overwhelmed with this report. So what do you say? Which part, how should we treat with this report actually? And what is the most important part is for us to take a look if you don't have too much time?
No, terrific question, because as I said before, we want to document everything. As you went through the report, Denise, you saw that we had photo record of everything. The furnaces opened up, the sinks running, the everything working, and not, or whatever. But if you go to the next page, the summary page, right there, you see all 74 pages are nice to have information. And it's great for a buyer to have that so they can actually know what they're buying. It's a great reference manual later on. How old is my air conditioner? The age is in there. How many BTUs of heat do I have? How many amps of service? What kind of wiring do I have? That's in the 74 pages. But if you go to the summary here, it lists the things that we consider either marginal or defective. And how we look at things is a marginal item is something, it's working, but it needs some TLC, it needs some care. And that marginal items are normally considered home maintenance items. Now, if something's defective, it's listed with a red item there, and a defective item is not working. That's the difference, something not working. Now, I just want to tell you this, that we do not recommend doing anything. If something is not working, let's say we test the stove and oven and it's not working, and the buyer says to us, wow, the stove isn't working, should we have it fixed? We tell them politely, we don't care. I mean, maybe they're not good cooks, who cares? No, but the realtor, especially a talented realtor like you, Denise, you're in charge. You know the nature of the deal. We don't know if the house is being sold as is, or what all the conditions of the sale are. We report that it's not working, and if that's an item that's important to the buyer, the realtor then advises their client to ask for that. But that's between them. We report the world as we see it.
Okay, that sounds good. I agree. I mean, I tell this to my clients. I mean, sometimes clients, they look at the home inspection and they say, oh, they want to have everything fixed. I tell them, read this report as a snapshot of this property you're buying. And we need to be dealing, I mean, in my opinion, only the urgent, whatever is really important for you, we have to be addressing that. And it's like, when you buy something, you would like to know what's going on before, unless it's a new house, you would like to know what the history of the house. And that report gives you that.
Exactly, because unless you're, like you just said it, and that was perfect, Denise, unless you're buying a brand new property, no house is going to be perfect. So you have, there's certain expectations that you have to have when you're buying something. If you're buying a used car, it's not going to be perfect like a new car. And it's going to have mileage on it. It's going to have wear and tear. And how much wear and tear is up to the buyer. And if they don't like that, maybe they should go for another property. So it's all about their expectations.
That's true. So my next question, we know that Donofrio offers inspections for both residential and commercial properties. As for commercial inspections, what are the types of inspections does Donofrio offer? Is it
For
similar
commercial,
to the residential? How does that work?
so commercial inspections are much different from a home inspection.
Mhm.
A commercial inspection is actually called a property condition assessment. It's not even called a commercial inspection. We do that just generically.
Mhm.
And there's very important parts of a commercial building inspection. And as we were just talking, and we just did, and this is a very thick binder, 200 pages, we did Watergate.
Wow.
And, and that has boilers, chillers, big plants, central station plants, major electricity. So inspecting those areas is really critical because the HVAC system in the Watergate complex cost millions of dollars,
Mhm.
not thousands. So testing and doing that is very important. So a commercial inspection is much different because there's some high dollar items.
Mhm.
If there's a computer rooms in the building, the UPS systems, the distribution of power, it's amazing. Generation system, generators. There's so many more things in a commercial building on a larger scale.
Mhm. For
And
instance, with that Watergate building, how long it took you to do the inspection?
well, the inspection itself, we had it. I said, well, when we do a big commercial job like that, we send a team of people.
Mm.
And each team, one team is doing the typical windows, outlets, and doors. And then
Mhm.
another team is doing the electrical. And I personally do all the big HVAC systems myself. So
Mhm.
it takes, the inspection itself took about a week, but we also did a phase one environmental.
Mm.
And the
Yeah.
analogy I can give you on a phase one environmental is this.
Mhm.
When you buy a home, to get the loan, the bank requires typically a termite inspection.
Yeah.
Okay. You buy a building and you want to borrow millions of dollars, the bank requires a phase one environmental. And that
Mhm.
basically is saying on this property,
Mhm.
is there any evidence of recognized environmental conditions, hazardous waste, petroleum products on this property? And also, is there a history of it?
Mhm.
Talking about Watergate, it's very interesting. I'm not going to go into a long story here, but prior to Watergate being built in the early 60s, and it was built between 1962 to 65, that property was the Washington Gas and Light coal plant.
Whoa.
So we had to research back to
You can
1900.
imagine a coal plant in that location.
Can you
I
imagine
know.
that? So we had to research back to 1900 and 10-year increments to determine how they cleaned it and how they handled all the hazardous waste from the coal plant to
Mhm.
make sure that everything underneath the surface of these buildings is correct.
Mhm.
So it's that's very interesting stuff. So a commercial inspection, and we don't do as many commercial buildings because the market's much smaller. The vast majority of our business, as I said, we have 15 home inspectors, is the home inspection market. And we're the largest independently owned home inspection company in the DMV region.
Mhm. So, my next question, we are heading into summer. Maybe we are actually in the summer. We can't believe it though. It still rains once in a while. Not at this point, but last night it was killing.
Yeah.
So what is your advice for, I know you're HVAC maintenance, HVAC expert. First time I listened to you about 3 years ago, I was really amazed with the knowledge you have about HVAC systems. So I'm gonna ask this question. What do you suggest to the people about HVAC maintenance during season changes? Like to keep it healthy and running long term,
Well,
they're expensive. You need to keep them in shape.
yep. Well, it's funny you mentioned that the seminar that I did that you watched 3 years ago, I talked about how do you air condition everything from a small building up to the World Trade Center in New York. And I love that
Yes.
stuff. I think it's very interesting. And I'm happy doing it, but
I didn't know that HVAC could be so interesting, honestly.
it's kind of fun. Yeah, kind of fun. Well, it's funny. At the end of every report, the report you showed, we give every client a 3-page list of things on how to maintain, and take care of your home. And teasingly, I tell people of those 3 pages, there's 3 things that are very important. Maintain the grading around your house so water drains away from your house. Keep your gutters clean. And number 3, change your air conditioner filter once a month.
Yeah, yeah.
So changing the filter and taking care of an air conditioning system is huge. I can't tell you how big it is. Change that filter once a month. If you buy these filters that last many, many months, make sure you're cleaning them. You're not just waiting 6 months, because you build up the airflow across the evaporator coil in an air conditioning system. You'll freeze it up. You'll create low pressure conditions. You'll blow up compressors. So what I tell people to do, and we don't recommend people, I don't want you to think I'm doing this and I have Uncle Vinny, circling the block for the kill. We don't recommend. Find a good service company that you trust.
Uh-huh.
I recommend you get on a service contract with them where they come out twice a year. They come out before the heating season and before the cooling season, and they tune the system up. They clean the coils. They check the refrigeration levels. They check the motors. They check everything. And it really prolongs the life of that air conditioner. So the best thing you can do, two best things you can do, is change your air conditioning filter once a month, and also get on a service contract. And when you get on a service contract with a reputable company, if something breaks down, you get priority on when they come to fix it. You get discounts on parts, on labor. And nobody likes being without heat or cooling.
Oh, no, you don't want that. And okay, my other question. From a commercial HVAC inspection, what type of information we can expect from Donofrio, and why is it important to have a detailed information on HVAC systems before purchase or lease a property?
Well, it almost mirrors a little bit why it's important even for residential, because when you buy a home, the HVAC system overall is very expensive. The roof is very expensive. So those are big items. They're big ticket items. But on a building, if you were like Watergate, that's even too big. But on a building that has major systems, those systems can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the numbers themselves tell you. Now, what's a little different is that I remember the president of Marina asked me one time, Mike Wilmore, great guy. He says, Ed, how do you test a chiller in a high-rise building? And really, it's about knowing what you're doing. Number one, you're looking at the unit itself, this big, huge chiller that provides chilled water going through a building. And you look at the model and serial number, and that tells you the capacity and age, as it would in a residential unit. And the capacity is in British thermal units, BTUs, and it can be millions on a big chiller. And then to measure performance on a chiller, it supplies chilled water through a building. That water lead typically goes out of a building at around 42 to 44 degrees out of the chiller. It cools the building. It comes back at 54. So basically, if you measure the temperature differentials, what leaves and enters times the gallons per minute of water flow, you get your performance. You can match it to the nameplate, and then you look at the conditions. Then you go through the building with lasers, and you measure discharge temperatures throughout the building to make sure you're getting cooling. So it's pretty comprehensive. And when you explain it to people, they go, wow, it's not rocket science. It makes sense. Because of the volume of dollars that are being protecting, they need to know, is it really is it old? Is it working? Has it been serviced? I mean, we can look at and tell these things. And it's, like I said, it's a huge investment when you're buying a building or even a home.
And actually, I work with tenant as a tenant representative also. And I see that especially small businesses, when they rent a space in shopping centers and so on, the landlord asks them take the responsibility of the HVAC. And most of them, without even understanding, they say yes and sign the contract with the landlord. And I always tell them that, did you get the HVAC checked? What are you signing? What are you signing for, right? Maybe this HVAC is too old. Maybe it's not performing well. And next minute you sign the lease. You're not buying the property. You're just signing the lease as a tenant. And you're taking the responsibility of this old HVAC. So I always suggest them, go work with you, get that HVAC inspected, find out what's going on, and renegotiate the contracts.
That's very smart, Denise, because we do a good many commercial inspections where people are not buying, but they're going to be renting or leasing the property. And they need to know, because commercial HVAC systems are very expensive, not only to replace, but if it's got a bad compressor, bad motor, it becomes thousands quickly.
Yeah, it can be very costly. The maintenance could be very expensive too. So you want to make sure you get the good property. Otherwise, you can maybe ask for renewal of the, of that HVAC system. So anyways, I'm gonna go back to the residential side. I'm trying to watch what's happening in the market. That's residential market usually starts first, and then we follow in the commercial side. And I recently saw that Bright MLS, the place we usually follow the residential development property sales, they say that in April, 623,000 homes come into market, and which surpassed the numbers in 2019. And that was the first time this happened. So this year. So we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. But I want to see, how do you see it from your perspective? How do you see the market now? Is it coming back, or how is it?
Well, as I said earlier, when the pandemic hit, it dropped quickly, all phases of business, and it's been slowly climbing back up. And right now, I would say we're still about 20% light on inspections compared to other year by year.
Mm-hmm.
The commercial is coming back slower. I would say we're about 50% on commercial, but I see it coming back. Our number of inspections are climbing every week.
Mm-hmm.
We did lay off of one inspector, and we had to bring him back. So things are looking very good. I'm hopeful that the pandemic subsides and doesn't return. We don't need a second bout of it.
I hope so too.
Yes, I agree with you. And we just wish everybody be safe and happy and healthy. I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about all the families that are people out of work, the 26 million people, and people not eating. Donna Frio, our marketing staff, takes care of a food drive every week and delivers food to help with the hungry, because that's a real issue, more than the pandemic. And
that's true. Yeah. I mean, we have to do whatever we can to help out and get through these tough times. And I know you're very active in giving back to your community, Dad. So thank you so much for this, all those things you do. With this note, I would like to close our meeting. Thank you so much for all joining us today. If you have any questions, you may reach me at 571-271-6604. And I also want to check if there is any questions on the chat box. I don't see any questions on the chat box. On the inbox of Facebook, I see some questions. Hold on. Maybe. Okay. No, they were just thanking for having this event. So it's good. They're happy. They're watching from Facebook live. And so if you would like to learn more about the Donna Frio inspections, you can go online. It is www.donnafrio inspections. I actually have a page of them. Let me share that with you so that you can actually see the page itself. Here, you see that donnafrioinspections.com. So if you need any inspections, I strongly suggest this consult with them about your needs. They are very active, they are very responsive. You just need to call their phone lines and they will get back to you as soon as possible. And on next week, we will have an interview with a title company. It is Mid-Atlantic Settlement. Charles Wang will help us to discuss their creative solutions for the closing settlement procedure. And stay tuned for the next week's event. And thank you, Ed. Thank you so much for everything. This was a wonderful event. Thank you so much for all the information you shared with us.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure meeting with you.
Thank you.